Okay, meeting of the Sherman County Board of Commissioners come to order, please. First off, we have for the first 15 minutes public comment. Please remember you need to come to the podium, state your name, and then continue. So.
Can everybody hear this mic okay? Rod?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay.
Sandra Dumler. I was looking for our agenda. We must not have any printed this time. You're gonna keep it right up there. Perfect. First of all, it's apparent when I looked at it online that you guys are still working with ADP. A lot of us have talked, and or just the county, several of us in it, but we are concerned about how cost effective it could be if you guys would decide to go this way. And so there's just a few comments that I'd like to make. ADP is a Cadillac as far as payroll processing goes, okay? But have you looked at any other processing companies?
No, and they haven't given us a monetary bid, you know, as to what
Sure.
it would cost, so, no.
Okay. Hiring an outside source to handle payroll doesn't take the fact away that unless you have checks and balances in place, payroll can be manipulated. Staff can cheat the system by reporting their hours incorrectly. The fact that current payroll system is not being used correctly is not a software issue. Perhaps there should be additional training on the current system we have, and procedures need to be put in place for every worker, everything throughout the county, just to ensure that we're using our payroll system properly. The cost and the time to implement a new payroll system would be tremendous to our county. I'm not saying it shouldn't be done in the future, but I think we're looking at a lot of expenses that you aren't even know about at this point. Plus, I just think this is a great opportunity. It starts at the level of reporting hours, it's not the way they go into the system. I mean, you can manipulate the system, but it's procedure.
Yep.
Sherman County taxpayers we're already out over $110,000 because of the Spark Fund mess up. The cost to the taxpayers won't stop there. If approved, as the citizens of Sherman County would like for you to, an audit would not be cheap. The cost of the audit for the general fund could be huge, and at this point I'm guessing you don't know how much that would be, but it still could be. The cost to amend payroll returns for 20 and 21, if that's what you have to do, could be huge, as well as the time to get work with capers, and that could be huge to our county. And this obviously has to be outsourced because we can't do it because that's where the problem arose. Most likely there will be legal fees with all of this because of conflict of interest with our county attorney and such. It just seems, as of right now, the expenditures could be huge, that maybe our time should be spent using the system we have and evaluating as we go through the procedure of cleaning up what's been done incorrectly.
Yep.
And so, after reading the statutes for the state of Kansas for your elected position, I guess I'm urging you guys not to act out of haste and out of wanting to calm our community, because your decisions to how you use our money is very important, whether it makes us happy or not.
Yep.
I just urge you all to look into things and make sure you're not letting an ambulance chaser come after us, so to speak. I'm not saying ADP, they're the Cadillac, but I'm just saying, let's make sure our system, there's nothing wrong with it as far as if it was used correctly. And that's all I have to say. Thanks for your
Can I
time.
ask you a question,
Sure.
Cindy? So we paid the state back approximately $57,000. I wondered where you had the figure of $110,000. What?
Because had we had that money to use in our community for things within the county that it could have been deemed for, we're now out the 53 from general fund to pay back what we paid people that have not paid us back. And I'm guessing you don't know how much they may have to pay us back, but as of now, we're out over $110,000.
Well, we don't know how much. I mean, that's up to the Attorney General and the attorneys to decide.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, the commission does has errors and admissions insurance, and I've already reached out to them. When that's settled, we can turn that claim in for whatever portion they deem is our mistake. That's why we have that insurance.
No, and I understand how insurance works, but currently, we're out that much money that could have been used on other things within our county. And so that's my statement. That's what that means. I'm not asking you how you're correcting it. The
Okay.
snail's pace repayments not gonna put it back in our county. So that's just my comment on that.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Appreciate it. Oh, Bill. Anyone else?
It's the county commissioners meeting, not Ashley's film report.
Rotate that camera a little bit. Eric? There we go.
Any other comments?
We were supposed to be getting a initial meeting with an audit group called Forbes, who does forensic audits, but they're swamped right now. But she assured me that at some point she'll get on the agenda and kind of give us an idea of what we might be looking at with that, just so we know what it would cost. It would probably be a step-by-step type audit. Start at A and then work on if needed. So that's in the works. We just haven't got her connected with us yet, so.
Any other comments? Well, so actually agreeing with what Sandy just said about let's slow down, do some things right.
Yeah.
Okay, the Lloyd Group agreement, I think we need to discuss that before we jump into that. Because I went and read it. It's
Mhm.
not a contract, it's a letter of engagement.
Right.
And I was asking Brett about clause, and basically, I can't see where they're taking any responsibility if they make a mistake. So
Okay.
I think that needs to be wrote.
Clarify that.
Clarified so that if there is a mistake, who's responsible? I mean,
Okay.
I don't want to pay that much money out. So this program is about 10 times easier than the last one. We have 4 years to administer instead of 9 months. We're not dealing with the hospital, the city, the VOTEC, topside manor. We're dealing solely with the county.
Mhm.
So when we look at that letter of engagement, we're going to pay them $57,000.
Mhm.
Okay, the county has already met and determined one of the best things to do is the radio repeater system, which is approximately $420,000.
Right.
So I looked at the paperwork. I had Jennifer Cure give me the paperwork, and I don't have a copy of it because you can't go and print it without a code. It's basically a one-page form they're going to fill out for that $420,000. And at 5%, we're going to pay them $21,000 now for filling out a one-page form.
Mhm.
If we're paying that kind of money out, I want some kind of assurance that
they're
they are
gonna be
totally responsible if there's something wrong there.
Okay.
So when Brett comes in at 9, I believe it's at 9, we need to ask him about that.
Okay.
So just, I want to slow that down and make sure we're doing the right thing. We don't want to,
No, that's fine.
because I think emotions were running high and we all decided let's just get something done to make everybody happy that we're doing the right thing. But at the end of the day, we're the elected officials making a decision.
Yep.
So we need to, and the other thing when Brett's in here, I want to talk to him about, when I first became a commissioner on Mondays when we had our meetings, we moved them so that Tom Betts from the newspaper could be here at our meetings, so we moved them to Tuesday. Well, Tuesday is motion day in the courts, but Brett is our county counselor, county attorney. I would like to have him present at all of our meetings. So we need to find out what day would work for him and move our meetings to that day so that we can always have legal counsel here to give us some guidance.
Okay.
That's what the taxpayers are paying him for, let's use him. That's just some of my thoughts.
Now, the meetings were always in the mornings, right?
They were, well, we tried them for a little while in the evenings.
Yeah, I know how
Because
that
people
works.
wanted to be able to attend them, and we did that for, I don't know, a couple months, but really nobody attended. But the problem with doing them in the evenings, you know, a lot of times we need to call somebody. We need to ask somebody, well, if you don't do it during business hours,
During day, yeah, but
We
working
can't.
hours. would
Right.
be-
you know,
Which
and this
we've
is
done.
the only time us three can meet and actually work on that.
Right.
The other thing I've thought about, I would like to change, and it's just a small thing, but I did ask years ago about changing the seating here, because I always have to look around you. If we're gonna have frank conversation and make decisions, we need to be able to see each other. I don't know if we can move one on this end, one on this end, one in the center, I don't know, but, or get a different table, but I would like to be able to see each other when we're having a conversation. So that's just a thought. I mean, it's a small thing, but
Yeah.
it's important. So, okay, I'll quit talking and let Roberta, she is up, and we have 5 minutes left yet for public comment.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
I would like to check on the next steps and the status of the election request for the paper primary. So I think that's a Ashley question.
Well, can I address something there before we go any further with that?
Sure.
These meetings are recorded, and I think that's probably a good thing now because people can see what's going on. The last thing in the world we want to do is divide our community over anything. 2 people that work polls now have called me, and they somehow think they are being accused of doing something wrong. I have assured them that's not the intent. The question, I think, is over the machines. Which, do I think, not as a commissioner, but as a taxpayer, do I think something's wrong with our 2020 election? Absolutely. Do I think something's wrong with elections here? Absolutely not. But Roberta, you're leading this charge. I would love to see you sign up as a poll worker. I would love to see you through the whole thing. And when we do the canvassing of the ballots, I would like to step out of this seat and have you part of that too. Bring your notebook and paper and make notes on everything. But before we tear a system apart, let's make sure we know exactly how it works. That's
Okay,
just
those
my
are
thoughts.
those are questions I'm asking.
Okay.
And so I will certainly clarify again. I believe I did at the last meeting, but nobody that I am aware of is accusing anybody at this point in the county of wrongdoing in the elections.
Thank you.
The issues are far, far above this level. I do believe that very likely, for the research that came forward out of the 2020 election indicates that probably long before the 2020 election, there was tampering with our U.S. voting system. The machines are the key issue. Not only the voting machines that they have in the larger communities, but the counting machines and particularly the electronic poll books. So that is the reason, and we believe that the evidence appears to be well, of course, all the voting takes place at the precinct and county level. And so that's where the fraudulent influence occurs. So yes, to be clear, we're not making local accusations.
Okay.
Please,
We cannot,
you know, we've been accused of the same thing. Who is we? You? When you say we,
okay, yes. So it's just a group of concerned citizens. And Sherman County and outside of Sherman County. It's really a nationwide group of concerned citizens. And so many are present in this room. And so to rectify that, really every county across the nation needs to return to paper elections, fully paper elections. And for anyone watching online, there is no excuse in the cities. Somebody may say, well, we're a small community and we can handle that easy because there's not that many voters. It's a precinct by precinct process. And every precinct is approximately the same size. Not exact population numbers, but precincts are small voting units. So even in a city like Kansas City, Chicago, Washington, D.C., Detroit, any city can deal with their election by precincts. This is how it used to be done. And so there's no excuse even for the city, but that's a little bit of a side note. So, back to my question, where are we with, what are our next steps?
I've
for-
contacted ES&S and No Inc., and they are going to be coming out to answer any questions that any concerned citizens or you guys have. It cannot be at a recorded meeting because what they have encountered before is that it was chopped up and pieced together how somebody else wanted it to sound. So we can do it just as a work session or in an executive session. Possibly we'd have to talk to Brett. Excuse me. After talking to the Secretary of State's office, it is up to the commissioners and the county election official what election equipment is used.
But if it's an executive session, we can invite those concerned citizens into that executive session.
I don't know if ES&S would still do it because you would still have to count on people not recording it.
I guess we could require them to lay their cell phones and everything at the door. I mean, we'll have to talk to
Yeah.
Brett about that. I
don't know. That's just what they told me.
How do they, I guess my question is how do they have the authority to do that?
They don't have that.
I mean, that's,
That's
public meeting.
their
They can't
trade
say it's not
secret.
recorded.
that's,
They're accountable.
I mean, that might be their preference, but it's like,
Then they won't come to a meeting.
then they just won't show
They
up.
won't come to a meeting.
Who
So I will
are
comment-
these people? I mean, I guess explain to us who really are these people?
Election systems and software,
Okay.
ES&S.
So they're a private company?
Yes.
Okay.
And they own the voting machines that we use, correct? They manufacture?
They manufacture them, yes.
Manufacturing.
All right.
But they don't want to talk in public about it.
Yeah. I mean, it just sounds strange to me.
And they've not been certified.
They have been certified.
When? We
don't know how.
put a Cora in and we
Ma'am,
haven't gotten anything back.
Ma'am, you'll have to come up here because we can't get your voice on recording, so then it.
Okay, so for the audience, Pat was just asking about when the machines were certified, and we have not been able to obtain a Cora securing that information. So I will comment that I personally, and probably a group of people would agree, it's not going to matter to me what the voting machine company says, because the research has already proven that there's an issue, and we don't want to research the machines any further. That has been done very, very, very deeply by people with much stronger resources and connections than we have. So my question is about the steps for the August primary. Where are we, and what needs to happen next?
I talked with Brett after he came back. He is supposed to be talking to the Secretary of State's legal counsel on what we're going to do, if we can do, but I do not want to hand count. I'm going to tell you all that. So
Are you going to agree to work that whole day?
I already
Yes.
have all my poll
Okay,
workers.
I got 'em.
We're
already have all
creating
the
a
poll
list of
workers.
names.
Okay. And I'm going to I want you to be here when we canvass the ballots. I want you to be part
You
of that.
can't.
I can't relinquish my
She
seat?
can't be a poll worker and canvass the ballots.
Oh,
You're
okay.
canvassing your own, what you counted that night.
Okay, so I would want somebody out of the group you're talking about that's not gonna be a poll worker to be here to help canvass the ballots. Just to make sure can I do
They
that?
already have poll workers.
I know, I said somebody that's not a poll worker.
I know, but you're asking her to be a poll worker. I already have poll
Okay,
workers.
let me redirect the question. Can you find one of your concerned citizens that is not a poll worker to help canvass the ballots? Is that legal? Okay. So that your group is part of every bit of that situation, so you totally understand everything that's going on.
I'm sure I can, but maybe it'd be a good place to start with, what are the rules? So number one, on election day, there are poll workers, correct?
Yes.
August 2nd, poll workers. And what do they do? Briefly.
Check in the voter. Get them their
Okay,
ballot.
okay. Okay. All right, and you have, and so for the paper poll book, how many poll workers are needed?
I don't know.
We voted by precinct before.
So we do townships east, townships west, and then the 4 different wards. So 6, if you're going to do that, I guess.
Okay, what I will do is I will go back to, I will locate a previous poll worker that worked in the system when, when we did it by paper, which wasn't very long ago.
There were 3
And-
people per table. So 3 for each ward, 3 for each townships east, and 3 for each townships west. So 3 times 6.
3 per table times 6. Okay. And then the next process is the audit,
County.
which, the
Okay, once again, we
audit
can't have a
which we had-
conversation like that. You gotta come up to Mike Burton if you wanna talk.
The audit which we agreed at the last meeting would be a 100% audit, so it will be a full count. And that's the next step, right? And do we know which day that is for sure?
Has to be, what, 7 days after we have to wait to make sure all mail-in ballots are received before you can do that. So there has to be a mail time in there.
Okay, I looked online and I didn't find the date. And I believe we used to count by precinct also.
It's the Friday after the election is the audit.
Okay.
So that's,
The 5th.
well, that's, yes, so, don't know about today's mail service, but it's by law. All right. So, if we used to count by precinct, was it the same number, the 3 people per table that, well, no, because those are multiple precincts.
We've had machines since I've been here, so I don't know.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll do some research, prior to when we switch to the machines.
I've been here 12 years and they used machines when I was elected. That was back when Janet Rumpel was the election officer and clerk, and we used machines at that point.
Okay,
So I don't know how far back you would have to go,
okay.
so.
Well, I know those people are alive, so I'll find them.
Okay,
Yeah.
All right.
thank you.
Okay, and then we'll address the canvassing question later.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, let's continue on with our schedule. Dawn, if you want to come up here, or you can go to the podium, whichever you would like,
I can
please.
go to the podium, but let me make sure you've got these. I'm with Options Domestic and Sexual Violence Services. And then I have some extras.
Dawn,
And
go ahead and go to the microphone so we can hear you, please. Thank you.
I'm Dawn Gable with Options Domestic and Sexual Violence Services of Northwest Kansas. We used to be called Northwest Kansas Family Shelter. About 7 years ago, they changed their name a little bit, but just for reference, and we've been in existence as of next year 40 years, serving your community with the unfortunate reality of domestic and sexual violence and sexual assault and violence around that. And we put together a report with some other entities such as KBI, Northwest Kansas Correctional Officers Services, and other organizations like Kansas Children's Services who help with children who have been sexually assaulted. And we give you a little report once a year. And so, if you look at the top left-hand corner, you can see that Sherman County had 52 incidences of domestic violence reported to your law enforcement, and 40 arrests which were made, which is 73%, and that is awesome. You can see that the state average is 48%, and why is that important? Well, we all saw that last year on the news when the unfortunate situation in Utah with Gabby Petito and her boyfriend, where the law enforcement, we could see how hard it was to decide who was the aggressor. So they gave up, and then a couple of days later, she was dead. And so the number one reason in Kansas for a woman to be murdered is domestic violence. And 1/4 of our murders for everyone, man, woman, or child in the state of Kansas, is domestic violence related. So that you can see why the KBI keeps those that data, and your local law enforcement report that up to them, and then we give that back to you. And so they're doing a great job. Thanks, guys. And so we all know how important that is. We also provide information, continuing education to your law enforcement and healthcare providers. This year we had an online summit around strangulation, and then the long-term effects, like 2-3 days down the road. Sometimes you can have, for instance, strokes after being strangulated and that's a common power move during an assault. And so we did that this year. Next year will be a different topic. We do other things. We have mobile advocates. We have 18 advocates, so kind of think a very specialized kind of social worker working within Northwest Kansas. We're officed in Hayes and Colby, but we have 2 mobile advocates that office in your county, every single county, 18 counties. Each one have 9 counties. At least once a month, usually twice a month. And we have a specialized advocate in high schools. So we have our advocate in your high school, and then we have an advocate that works with universities and NCK Tech, or I'm sorry, Goodland Tech, and she's here frequently during the school year, working with college student level on understanding what is partner violence at that level, what is stalking, how not to stalk, and all of that goes with the young people. You can see that over here we provide, on the right hand side you'll see the little icon with the elderly. We provide anything that happens in the home is considered domestic violence, including elder abuse. And out here in western Kansas, we know that we have a lot of elderly per capita, and we work hand in hand with Area Agency on Aging and law enforcement when elder abuse, holding them captive for their Social Security check, or literally just violence to elders. We are very mobile friendly now because the pandemic really pushed that forward. That's a good thing. We have 3 new ways of contacting us. One, we have a mobile application they can download on their phone that when they talk to us, it immediately erases so that so the abuser can't see a text chain or an email chain. We have, just like when you go to order something at Cabela's and the lady goes, "Can we help you with your purchase?" We have on our website chat, a young person usually is there going, "Would you like a private chat?" And then we can move them over to telehealth, just like your telemedicine at the hospital. We have a telehealth link. And so it has the privacy and everything like the hospital has. And so people, no matter what, if it's a long-term client of ours or if it's somebody just immediately needing rescued, we can move them to telehealth and have one-on-one FaceTime with them over the internet. So those kind of things have actually increased the number of people seeking help, and that's a good thing, and that was pushed ahead a little bit by the pandemic. If you look down at the right-hand corner, it says there was only 3 nights of safe shelter provided for Sherman County residents. We do a lot of things that help people get safe places, even though we're not having a shelter space here in Goodland. We rent hotel rooms. We find help within their family structure or their friend structure. So we provide a lot of services out this direction and in your community, but that doesn't mean we cart them off to our shelter space. But 3 individuals sought shelter in Hayes. We will soon have shelter space in Colby. We're very excited about that. We have a building that was donated, and its lower level is a walkout garden level, and we'll very soon have some shelter space in the lower level. So that's very exciting. And then, if you turn the page real quick on Sherman County on sexual assault, there were 0 incidences reported, unfortunately, to law enforcement of sexual assault. But we had 82 services provided for sexual assault in the county. Not everybody reports their sexual assault to the law. We don't require that they do. We encourage, but we don't require that they do. But we're there to help, no matter what happened, no matter how they want to handle it. We're there to help with sexual assault. It looks a little high. Of course, you have multiple services per person. That might be 8 people. That might be 7 people. Remember, you have a tech college in town, and that 18 to 25 range is very much reflected in that number. I'm not saying that it couldn't be older people, but it's always a little higher when you've got like Colby and Hayes and Beloit and Goodland, always a little higher on the sexual assault because of the age range that you serve with your school. If you look over to the right, a couple of interesting numbers. We served 89 offenses, helped with human trafficking. We are the resource if there are human trafficking victims and that law enforcement have arrested a perpetrator and found victims. We're the resource, the only real resource unless they move on to another area or just say they don't want help. But usually they need help. And then we have 630 reported offenses of stalking. That's really high, but stalking is really high and a problem right now, especially digital stalking. On their mobile phones, there you can put hidden apps, unfortunately, and we work with Nextech and the other digital providers to get those cleared off of there. And we also help people scan their cars in case it's very easy to put an $8 tracking device in somebody's car these days. Gotten at Walmart, unfortunately. And so we work a lot with that, but also just traditional stalking, like people hanging out front of somebody's house and it's unwanted attention. And we also help with protection from assault, PFAs, and protection from stalking, PFSs. And we help them fill those out if they need help with that. And we have a new program where we'll be putting a laptop in every single courthouse. And we'll be rolling out that in the fall so that your courthouse employees can hand them the laptop and it'll directly link with us immediately, and we'll be able to walk them through filling out that paperwork, which can be scary and confusing for them, which can be done online now. And that's another benefit we got as part of the pandemic. The Secretary of State's office, or Attorney General's office, came up with an online fillable form for stalking and assault protection orders.
When you say that there will be a computer, where will it be at? On the second floor somewhere to the court system?
Yes.
Okay.
Like I said, that'll be rolled out this fall. Every single courthouse. There's tiny little differences between everybody, but we have 18 computers that will be a dedicated line. They can't go on there and start playing a video game or something. It'll be dedicated to filling out those protection orders so that your county clerks aren't trying to maybe help them do something they don't have time to do. I think there's laws around that, that they're only allowed to do so much with that and helping someone fill that out, where we're allowed to help them fill it out.
Okay.
Now I'll stop and ask you if there's anything you're curious about, because that was a really great question.
No, I think you covered everything well.
There's a number right by the map. If you turn it kind of sideways and go to the map on the purple page, it says 14,000 and some. Those are the number of services we provided last year in Northwest Kansas. When we came to you last year, it was just shy of 10,000 services. Our service load has gone up by 50%. We do put that down to we're speaking their language now. We're providing more digital ways of communicating with us, besides just walk-in services, which we have walk-in services. We were only offering a website and an 800 number, which are great, but when we were able to offer the other digital services, we saw a dramatic increase. It went up because of pandemic and people were in shutdown,
Yeah.
but we also added those digital services, and it's held high. And that means we're serving the people that need to be served, that didn't know we were there to help them, right? But we are seeing that increased load in your county and every single county. And so we're so grateful for your past support. Last year, you gave us $1,000 to help with the funding gap. We get state and federal grants, and those are funded by fines that criminals pay across the United States and the state of Kansas. They're not paid with taxes. And so our funding is paid that way for Victims of Crime Act and the Violence Against Women's Act. But there is always a gap with federal funding. They do that on purpose, so you can go seek local funding. And we appreciate your local donation last year of $1,000. We did request $1,500 because of the increase of the number of services we're providing. We hope you're able to see that in your budget, but we do appreciate your past support.
Thank you.
Do you work with other entities like High Plains Mental Health and
We do.
Child Advocacy? So,
We're very interconnected. We're Northwest Kansas. There's
okay,
every eagle has to scream, right? We provide the 24/365 hotline for not for High Plains Mental Health, but for the Child's Advocacy Center.
okay,
So they work 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. If something happens and a family calls in, it's into our line. We take care of that family and shelter them if they need to be sheltered, and then hand them over to KCAC when they open up.
okay.
So we work hand in hand with all those agencies, and thank goodness we have High Plains Mental Health and KCAC and Area Agency on Aging. We all work together.
Okay,
And
thank
And we
you.
actually have a monthly meeting with the entities, which also includes Northwest Kansas Correctional Services, and different law enforcement agents, including KBI, every month, so we can coordinate efforts.
Okay, well, thank you.
Mhm.
Good.
Well, thank you. If you have further questions, don't hesitate. Ashley can send them on to me.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go ahead and start working on signing checks.
There is, okay.
There's no check attached to this. Is that a
That's a wire.
wire? Okay.
this letter from the National, just a newsletter from the National Historical Society. All done?
Got 'em.
I make a motion, we pay the bills in the amount of $51,687.33.
Been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is passed. Bills are paid.
That's meeting dates for ADP for our work session and to look at a demo of their product. They gave 3-4 options. If any of those work for you guys.
July 15th at 2 p.m., July 19th at 9:30 or 2 p.m., July 20th for lunch.
Let me see your dates again, Larry, please.
15th, okay.
I don't think I'll be here the 15th, but the 19th would work for me.
That leaves the 20th, huh?
19th or 20th, either one probably work. The 19th, we're already getting together for commission meetings, so.
That's it. 30.
That'd be during our commission meeting, so we don't work. Is there another at 2 p.m.?
Yeah, the same
Or it
day.
says or two.
Yeah. I know the 15th will not work for me.
Well, I think the 19th might be the
19th
closest.
at 2 p.m.?
At 2 p.m., yes.
Okay.
Okay. We'll see what they have to say.
The other thing I was gonna tell you guys, we talked about raising our mileage, the price for our mileage.
Yeah.
Okay. I know we've always followed federal guidelines in the past, but I couldn't remember why, but Jennifer Keir called me after the meeting and said if you don't follow those federal guidelines, they can lose federal funding for the WICs and the family program, was it X1 or whatever it is. So,
That's probably our biggest mileage user, isn't it?
yeah, but you'd lose total federal funding
Yeah.
from it if you don't follow those guidelines, so I think it's very important that we do. That's a lot of money right there.
Another thing we need to look at, I guess, is and this is policy, and I don't know how it's written, we'll have to look that up, but if a county vehicle, say you got a guy from Road and Bridge or wherever going to a class, if a county vehicle is available, we don't necessarily require them to take the county vehicle, or do we?
Yes, there was a policy.
I mean, that's something we need to get.
We guess we didn't look at it, but when Ken Clem was here, and I don't know if you remember, Steve, we did pass a policy so that there was not abuse. If there was a county vehicle available, you were supposed to take it. We haven't enforced that, I don't think.
Well, we need to take a good long look at all of our policies, and you know, if we're going to get better moving forward, we've got to. If we need to make changes, we need to make changes. We just need to go through each one and tweak it if needed. If it's working, then don't fix it. But that's just one way of cutting a little bit of expense here and there. That's what we got to start doing. We need to look at our purchasing policies again. When I was a department head with the city, the one message that was always, you know, obviously we're not talking about specialty tools. The power plant was loaded with specialty tools. But as far as local stuff, we were told to mix it up. I mean, go to Shores one time, go to CarQuest, you know, just mix it up. Everybody seems to get a favorite, and they kind of just focus on the favorite. And we got to support all our businesses here in town. And yeah, sometimes it might end up costing a little bit more, as opposed to ordering it from Granger Supply or something. But these guys got to make a living, and they pay taxes. And
Wasn't the policy if it's not over, it has to be over 10%, or you have to purchase it locally. First, you got to get a local
you
bid.
get 10% rule.
And then if it's 10% higher, then you can go out of county.
Yep.
And
But
And that's been in,
we just need to reiterate that to all our department heads, you know.
that's been in effect for quite a while. I think that 10% policy has.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Right.
kind of standard.
And they can't purchase anything over $1,500 unless they come and get approval.
Right.
So,
I think Road and Bridge might have a little higher limit.
yeah, because, you know, one part, I think there's
And the fire department.
I think it's 5,000 or EMS, yeah. But those are,
That's all high-ticket stuff.
well, yeah, EMS orders one set of drugs, and it's way more than that, so.
Here's a Smoky Gardens activity permit. Somebody's asked to have a wedding down there. It's kind of our first one. I don't really know. They know it's kind of first come, first serve, but I don't really know what to require of them. So I had them do an activity permit, so we know what's going on. But they're aware that the area that they're wanting is right in the middle of the playground, and there could be kids, and they're okay with that, so.
September 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So exactly what are they asking? Just basically have that reserved, that,
I don't know that we can even reserve it. That's my question to you guys.
I think that was something we decided we weren't going to get into.
Right.
yeah.
But when they asked, I'm like, well, at least then we would know, and we'd have it on the calendar. So that's kind of my go-to. I don't
Okay.
know.
Okay.
Let me see that thing here. Board of Commissioners of Sherman County requires a permit issued for certain activities.
It's gonna be very difficult to, you know, they're wanting it for 3 days.
Yeah, that's right. Labor Day weekend, I mean, they'll be busy,
They're camping down there.
They're camping down
They're
there.
camping down there. They know that it is what it is. So, like, they're
Okay.
planning on setting up for, I don't really.
What, I'm gonna have to, what is Resolution 15-12? I mean, that's the first question. Mr. Attorney, would you like to look at that?
So it sets up the regulating the use of Soldiers Memorial, so no throwing trash, no starting a fire, bathing, swimming, or wading, no, none of that.
Okay.
All fishing must be in compliance, no snagging of fish. Operation of automobiles or other vehicles other than the maintained roads. Basically the rules of
Rules
Smoky
of
Garden.
the Smoky
Sort of
Garden.
nothing
But
on there
does
says
it
about.
stipulate that these people have to have a permit signed by commissioners?
Groups or organizations consisting of more than 25 individuals wishing to use county property shall notify the Smoky Gardens Board to obtain a permit.
Okay.
Reservations of portions of the park may only be secured by obtaining a permit and placing a deposit as outlined in the permit. Does it say anything about a deposit?
I didn't see anything. that-
No.
And then it says permits may be obtained through the Smoky Gardens Board.
We no longer have a Smoky Gardens board.
That's you guys.
That's us. What do you make of that?
Obviously, I didn't put that permit application together, but to me, from what Ashley's saying, as far as the rules listed in that resolution, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with the application. I guess to me, it's a policy question whether or not you guys want to permit a wedding to take place during that time period.
Okay,
But I guess what I'm looking at is where's the teeth in this? I mean, who's gonna enforce if they feel like they're being infringed on somehow, and we've signed off on this, it's like, we're not guaranteeing
Say
anything.
That doesn't guarantee any exclusivity. It doesn't shift, at the last portion, as it states, doesn't shift any liability. I don't know if the
Yeah,
resolution comments on if you put a rod in teeth or not.
I don't know.
Until now, I've never seen that, and I don't know what.
Says any person violating these rules and regulations shall be guilty of a misdemeanor and upon conviction shall be punished by a fine not exceeding $500 plus damages and or commitment to the county jail for a period not extending 30 days or both such fine and imprisonment.
So essentially, if they violate any of the rules, it's a Class C misdemeanor.
Are you aware of this, Burton? You've heard of this? Okay.
It's just basically, if you do a large group, I don't think it's guaranteed that they'll have it unless you wanna have that, but it's basically saying, if I wanna have a large group down there, you're supposed to ask for permission.
Yeah.
but it's public property, so if somebody else comes in and is already camped there,
Yeah, you can't kick them out.
Yeah, I mean, based on that, there's nothing that promises any exclusivity. So I guess to me, they would be planning that event, knowing that the risk could be is that they could have a bunch of people camping and fishing in the background.
What's a neater, cleaner way of just doing this? If we revisit that resolution, I mean, if it's in an open public area,
Basically, this was put in place, I think, at the time, so that we didn't have like a large party group down there with kids or something. Just, we had a way of saying, wait, you can't do this.
Like Michael Dorn's event, he got one of these.
yeah.
And to allow for trap shooting because this didn't allow discharge of firearms per the resolution. So you guys allow that. Where this doesn't go against the rules, it's just a bigger group. than
Basically
the
saying they're a
25.
bigger group and we're notified so that,
Yeah,
And
they're asking.
They're
My
aware.
take of that
Yeah.
is they're asking for permission to have a large group down there, and by signing it, you're okaying them to have that large group, an organized large group.
organized large group.
Okay.
But you're not promising them any type of exclusivity or anything like that. It's simply you're allowing them to go as a big group.
I just, like what you were just saying, I just make sure you add at the bottom that you're not guaranteeing the facility.
That'd be the only way I can think of to make that any more simple or clean, is
Right.
that, the county doesn't guarantee any exclusivity of the grounds. It's still an open public area.
Okay. So they need to be, we just need to
I
I
change
told them
that up.
verbally, but I can add that to the bottom of it. That's fine.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. Well, and I would make a motion to allow the activity permit for the wedding at Smoky Gardens, September 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? it'll be approved on the fact that you will add that there's no guarantee.
I send
All in
the-
favor, say aye.
Right.
I send
Opposed,
the
same
verbiage.
sign. Motion is passed.
Who's next? Chrissy?
Uh,
She's not gonna be here apparently.
I text Chrissy. She thought her appointment
Larry.
was next week. So,
Okay.
Okay.
Batter up, Brett.
Okay. You wanna come up here? It's my understanding that at the last meeting,
Oh, Jerry.
you guys motioned, and then I've asked Jerry to be here, motion to have the county attorney's office look into and research all available legal options for repayment of the Sparks funds. Essentially, since the date that we received the notification from Office of Recovery that certain expenses didn't meet federal guidance and need to be returned, I've had multiple conversations with other county counselors, county attorneys, as well as private attorneys, including Jerry. And while I would have liked to have had all of them here, that's just not feasible. But essentially, what I'm asking today, and I'll explain why, is for the authority from the commission to engage an outside attorney. I have a couple of other county attorneys in mind to do that research and pursue those options, and here's why. As county counselor, my job is to advise not only the commission, but department heads and other individuals in the county on any legal questions or issues that arise. So, in this instance, you're asking for potential options that may or may not include up to a civil action to be filed against Ashley and Maria for repayment of those funds. It presents an ethical issue for me to, on behalf of one set of individuals
Right.
that I advise, to sue another set of individuals that I advise.
Right.
On top of that, with because of the nature of the job as county counselor and the information that I personally have that may or may not be public from any ongoing investigation, it can very easily put me into a position to be a witness. And as a potential witness, I obviously ethically cannot be the litigator of the issue.
Right.
And so, and quite frankly, a lot of that comes down to the attorney-client privilege, the
Right.
things that we discuss. That privilege is not there to protect the attorney, it's there to protect the client, which in this scenario, the county in general is my client. Specifically, it's to advise the three of you as well as, any department head. I consult with Jenny Cure quite frequently on different questions. And so I can't hold privilege with one group and another at the same time.
Right.
And all these individuals that I've discussed this with, including Jerry, have confirmed that thought, that I have a conflict here, and it's one of ethics. And so I would ask for your permission to engage. I have two other county attorneys in mind. I have not spoken with them in any detail as to whether or not they'd be willing to do this. But they're both have been county attorneys for a very long period of time, and they're both very well respected individuals. And so I would ask your permission to at least reach out to them, or if those two fall through, to another county attorney or county counselor to advise the three of you on this specific topic, and that would be the reimbursement of the funds from Ashley and Maria.
Right.
As far as anything else dealing with this, and Jerry can confirm this, I don't believe there's any other conflict, simply because from the way that the Office of Recovery letter reads, they've essentially, the way I take it, have approved all other expenses. There's no other question except for the administrative expenses that were paid.
Right.
I believe that the final report to reflect what has taken place because of the letter from the Office of Recovery has been submitted, and we should be receiving our final closeout letter. So the conflict extends, in my mind, specifically to the the question of what options are available to the county for the repayment.
So are you gonna reach out to other county attorneys, but can you ask Jerry to do this too, or?
I can't ask Jerry, number one, because he's consulted with me
Okay.
on this. Number two, I think it would be best to have someone outside of
Outside.
Sherman
Okay,
County.
okay, I just wanted to make sure we're clear on what's going on there. Okay.
And I simply asked Jerry to be here to help confirm that, it is an ethical question as to my representation of everybody. And so if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask.
No, I think it makes sense.
Okay. I'll make a motion then that we give you the authority to reach out and get another attorney to advise us on this situation.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passed. Opposed, same sign. Motion passed.
Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So, can I ask you a question now?
Yes.
So, I talked to him earlier, I would like, if there's a date you have that's available during the week, that's always available during that time? If we could move our county commission meetings to a day where we could always have you here for,
Yeah,
What,
Mondays should work.
Mondays would be a good day for you.
Mondays should work.
Okay.
If you want me here all the time as opposed to just calling, I know that's how we've done it in the past. Sometimes it works to come down from upstairs, sometimes it doesn't, but.
Well, we used to have it on Mondays years ago, and we moved it so the newspaper could be present, but these are recorded now, so the newspaper can see anything they need to online. I would rather have you here than, it's important that you're here.
Well, my statutory obligation as a county counselor is to be present when requested, so.
No,
if
it's
you want
hard
me
to
here-
do if you're in court.
If you want me here at every meeting, that's perfectly fine. Mondays would work fine.
Okay.
And
Morning
Okay.
preferably, or afternoon, or does it?
doesn't matter.
I prefer morning.
I do too.
It's okay.
Okay, when do we want to start this?
I'd like to start it just as soon as possible.
I don't know if that's set by resolution.
Oh,
That was gonna be my next question. I think it's set by, meeting times are set by resolution.
Yeah.
so
we
we'll need
look at
a
that.
new resolution
Okay,
to
we'll
change the time.
research that.
Okay.
We'll need to-
See, that's why you're here. Thank you. Oh. Okay.
I do have one other thing, but is there any other questions?
I think so.
The Lloyd Group.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yes, I'm assuming it's about the.
Responsibility part
Okay,
of
yeah.
it.
Larry had asked me this question last week. He had a question on a couple of bullet points in there, and they were actually bullet points that I had spoken to Mr. Lloyd on the day prior to the last meeting. And it was regarding, I think it's bullet point 1 on that they are advisory in nature and will not audit or review financial information, will not issue any form of assurance on it, including the single audit. In my discussions with Scott at that time, essentially what he's saying is that by them administering the program, they cannot audit
Right.
the material that they prepare and put forward.
Right.
And the auditing standards, from what I've gathered from him, are different than the mere standards of putting the paperwork together. Essentially, and I spoke with him this morning because of the conversation, a couple of questions Larry had asked last week about that. And of course, he did, the way I read this, the engagement letter and my discussion with him this morning, it was that, of course, if they make a mistake someplace, responsibility is on them, and that's what their professional liability
Okay.
insurance is for.
Okay.
But that, while the way it's phrased, I can understand where that caution is coming from. Not providing any assurance on it is simply stating they will assure that the numbers and everything that they are putting into the paperwork to be submitted are accurate, but they can't make any assurance on the audit that will be performed by somebody else. And
No.
obviously, they cannot audit their own work.
So if there is a mistake made, they are liable?
Yes, they will
Okay,
work,
okay.
to correct it, and the exact phrase he shared with me this morning is that's what my professional liability insurance is for.
Okay, that was my concern, that was my question. So thank you for addressing that.
Do you guys want to take action on that now or wait?
I would say we take action on it if they're going to accept responsibility for an error.
Well, that
That's
was
the whole
That
premise.
was my big
behind it.
question, is make sure on that.
And Scott did explain to me, this is, he mentioned something about in the initial application forms or a report from April, there's a box that was needing to be checked, that he did confirm was checked, and so it's the $10 million loss. I'm not an accountant, but the way he phrased it is essentially everything's been done the way it needs to be at this point, but essentially the way he described it are the funds are public service funds. And so there's, for lack of a better phrase, there is less room for error, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So to clarify that, maybe this is recorded, the box was not checked by April. It would have been done through the clerk's office.
No, I'm saying the month of April.
The month of April, okay,
The
okay, I'm
report-
just,
Okay.
The report from April, he
Ashley
said
checked
that
the
the
box.
appropriate box was checked,
Okay.
which I believe is what.
I did it with Jenny Cure, so.
Okay. Good.
But that's what he
Thank
shared
you.
with me this
You're
morning,
welcome.
along with that he would, ultimately, that they would be responsible for any errors.
that's a good thing about recording meetings, because now people can go back and see exactly what was said, but we gotta make sure everything is said correctly and clear, so that there is nothing wrong there.
Well, I would make a motion that we accept the letter of engagement with Lloyd Group for the distribution of ARPA funds.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded, we accept the Lloyd Group for distribution of ARP funds. Any discussion, other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion passed.
All right. Thank you, Brett.
Anything else?
That I can think of.
The last item I have is that I'm obligated to inform the three of you that upon a complaint, the county attorney's office has submitted to the attorney general's office a request for ouster investigation, as well as any subsequent prosecution if they determine it's necessary for Ashley. That letter was sent on June 26th or 27th, so a couple of weeks ago. I had not received any response back. I'm assuming that they're reviewing the material that I provided, and they will either respond with a yes or no that they will do it. The way the statute reads is that the Attorney General's office or the county attorney's office can initiate that investigation. And to ensure a full and unbiased investigation, I made the determination to make that request to the Attorney General's office.
Is there any time frame when they have to, so who knows when they may respond? Okay.
Okay.
Won't even know if the letters got delivered yet.
What's that?
I said, might not even know if the letter's been delivered yet with the mail system. So,
Fairly certain it has.
okay.
All right. I have nothing else.
But you're going to research the statute, if we need to change the statute for the time.
resolution.
The resolution, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, the resolution.
Yeah.
Then we'll address that at the next meeting. Okay,
Sounds good.
all right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You didn't sign that.
Roberta, you're standing there patiently.
Thank you. My question was, who will pay for the outside attorney doing the research that Brett requested?
Who will? We will.
We,
The
the
people.
county?
The county general fund will be where it comes out of, and so it would be Sherman County taxpayers.
And why would that be? It's not researching a mistake we made.
Well,
We have to have legal representation, and he cannot do it. He's back, we can ask him.
Yes.
How will the funding be paid for this attorney you're hiring to?
It would come out of, well, I guess it's a choice from the commission. It would either come out of my budget for contractual services or to be paid out of the general fund?
Either way, we're gonna pay.
Okay. You got something else for us, Brett?
No, I just assumed you guys wanted to.
Okay.
I'll
I
be
just-
back.
Based on the previous discussion, I
Yeah.
assumed you wanted to be in here.
We do. We're glad you're here. Thank you for coming in.
Here's Region 1 Emergency Medical Services Council appointments to appoint Brian James and Justin Stacer to the council. So
Brian came last time to
Yeah.
talk about that.
Brian stated that there hasn't been anybody representing Sherman County since the staffing change, so
All right, we'll make a motion that we appoint Brian James and Justin Stacer to the Region 1 Emergency Medical Services Council.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed.
Rural Fire Board minutes from the June 20th meeting.
Where are we at on adding the city's revenue into the budget on the fire department?
Sorry, what?
So where are we at on adding the city's revenue into the,
It's in, so they have their own capital outlay funds. Brett, correct me if I did this incorrectly. They have their own capital outlay funds that were the cities that will not be transferred into our operating. So that will sit there, and then as we purchase things, we will take things out of there and out of rural capital outlay. Now, their operating account did go into our operating account.
okay. Okay.
So I see Brian got the deal cut with the ambulance, getting it sold, right?
Yes. I guess. I haven't talked to him since the meeting here.
He sent what was that? Brian sent something out with the odometer, it was an odometer verification or something on the ambulance.
I didn't see that.
I didn't see it either, I guess.
But it had $12,700 as the sale price. That's yours.
We have certificates of appointment and appreciation for GRMC board members. You guys would sign those, please.
Now, did Bill go off?
Yes,
Okay.
that's why his is different.
my understanding that they moved yesterday, people from over into the new Topside Manor.
Yep, seen that.
A lot of families in town, lots of trailers, everybody was pretty excited.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess we'll need to, at some point, set up a time with the college to
Get that
go
done.
through the old building and look that over.
Yep.
Do you guys want to look it over, or you just?
Well, I
do you
mean,
go-
yeah, I mean, I think it's probably a good idea,
Okay.
just.
Yeah, you can
initially.
walk through it, see what all's left in there, and
Yep.
what kind of condition it's in at this point.
Yep.
Possibly meet with Ben and maybe the VOTEC board if they're
Okay.
available.
I'll see him on Thursday, so I'll ask him.
Okay.
Last thing I have is minutes.
I had no issues with the
I-
minutes. The only, I've expressed my thoughts to Ashley about the minutes, and we brought this up before, that we need them timely, we need to be approving the last meeting's set of minutes every time we have a regular meeting. And I'm not gonna back off of that. I can't remember what I said 5 meetings ago, so.
Now you can go and look.
Now I can go look, but we need to get that in a timely fashion, no matter what.
So, do you have any problem with the minutes that were?
No, I reviewed them all, everything looks fine.
Steve, did you have any?
I'm good. Ashley was nice enough to print them off last week for me, so I'm good with them.
Okay, I'll make a motion then that we approve those minutes.
I'll second.
Been moved in a second. We approved the previous minutes. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
We're in agreement on that?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. What else we got?
That's it.
Okay.
Steve, got anything?
I have nothing to bring forth at this time.
I think our plan moving forward is just tighten everything up. We need to go back through our policies and our procedures. And I suggest we start with what we would say is the most important, and that's probably payroll. And make sure we're reviewing things properly and get schooled on what to be looking for.
They can get it, just wait.
Huh,
They can get it, they'll let
okay.
us know if it's for them.
I mean, that's, I think moving forward, we just gotta do a better job with what we have right now. Obviously, yeah, we'll let ADP, give us a proposal, but I think we're looking at a significant amount of cost with attorney fees and other things, and I don't think it's probably the right time to be making a big change. in
I don't think so. either.
Payroll and all that stuff, but, we'll listen to what they have to say. And then we'll be better educated on what we'd be up against. So.
Sandra Dumler. I just want to say, I just think we have the resources in our county already, not to be hired, but by talking to individuals, what works in different areas of businesses, farms, whatever, to put together procedures and even to just make sure the ones you have are being followed. I don't think it's rocket science.
No.
And I don't think it has to cost the county a lot of money.
Right.
But I urge you guys to just dig further and take the time to do that and see and get your heads involved, because it's really not that hard to do.
Okay.
One other question, Larry. You said that you were using possibly E&O insurance to possibly cover the missed funds out of general?
So my statement, I called him and asked him, we have that insurance, and I explained the whole situation to him. He said, when you're done, if it's deemed that the commissioners are responsible for part of this, then turn in a claim, not for the whole thing. And nothing will be done until we know exactly what is
Right.
decided.
But you guys haven't made a decision then, you've just done the
No,
groundwork?
we just done inquiries into what their insurance, what their insurance would cover or what they see would be coverable or not covered through their policies. And
Okay.
so they're looking into it right now just to see if,
That's an
it-
option.
options.
Perfect.
Just
Thank
for the
you.
record, I have not talked to them, so. All right,
Okay.
I have nothing else.
Roberta has.
Excuse me. That's because we didn't get to finish at the beginning. But we had a lot of other good discussion during that time, so forgive me for keeping you a bit longer, but at the last meeting, and we can go back and look at the recording, but I thought that we had all agreed that we would do a hand count of all the paper ballots, and that process is going to take place by using the audit day process and counting 100% of the ballots rather than the spot check.
I recall that, yes.
But
That's-
wasn't the ballots have to be counted the day of election?
I agreed to do that as the audit portion of it, yes, not election night.
That was what I understood.
Okay,
Okay, yeah.
And then I think to further that, if the hand count did not match the machine, then we would do another hand count to make sure the hand count was exactly right before we determined what was wrong there, if it was a human error or machine error.
Mhm.
Is that the way you recall that?
That was how I recalled that also.
Okay.
We were doing a lot of what ifs and stuff, but that's what I recall talking about. Now, I mean, talking about that, okay, let's say there's a discrepancy between the machine and the first count. Then you do the second count and it matches the first count, hand count. Now, where do we go with to determine there was actually an error with the machine? Who corrects that? The guys who built the machine, or, I mean,
Well, I guess we'll find out first if we got an error. then
we've
we'll-
never had a problem, so I don't know.
yeah, well, you know, there again, what if?
Yeah,
you
once we
know?
find, if there is an error, then we'll cross that.
Hopefully
bridge.
there won't be, but,
Hopefully there won't be.
right.
So my question was, where are we, what do we need to do to make the hand count, to get ready for the hand count? That takes place on Friday, August 5th, correct?
Yes.
And we need, we'll determine how many people are needed, get them
We'll
recruited.
have 3 people.
Does it have to be limited to 3 people? Because I can see that
We can look into that.
being,
The auditing board.
because I know when we used to hand count, of course, that was done by many more hands.
Yeah,
The more
Yeah.
hands you have involved, the greater chance of error. I mean, it may take longer with fewer people, but the fewer people you have involved, the less chance of error there is.
Well, that may be, may not be. Okay, so we'll determine how many.
Brett will look into that, what the auditing board is.
Correct. Counters. That'll be done August 5th. And so we know how many people we need for the poll books. That is the 3 tables times
We looked into that.
6, 18 people.
No, I will.
Is there anything else that we need to do in preparation?
I don't know.
She's
Are the
looking up
paper
something.
poll books prepared, or is there already a copy of the paper poll books, so they need to be prepared?
Voter registration isn't even closed until today.
I should say, do you normally have a paper copy of the
We
poll?
do in case of emergency, yes.
Okay. So those.
But it
so
would be
those-
one, it's usually one big one, not individual
Mhm.
precincts.
So it'll just have to be printed in a divided method.
More questions?
If that's all we need to do to prepare, then we'll, and you said training for poll workers takes place the day before?
Yes.
Okay. And what about training for the audit?
I send out it's a whole packet of information.
And when is that sent?
That's a good question. I don't know if there's a specific day. I don't have those people set yet.
You don't, I'm sorry, you what?
I don't have those people asked and set yet, so.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
I think the people are asking for an independent audit. So I think we need to have other people from the outside help do the auditing. That's what they've asked for multiple times in the money and the election and everything. They want a full independent audit to make sure everything's done properly. So you said them, that's your auditors. That's not the people's auditors.
You're talking about the election, right? Okay.
Right, she just said that she hasn't signed those people yet. So she's gonna assign the auditors. So it's not an independent, isolated audit, it's her audit. Right?
She is also the county's voting person or
Right.
election
Right.
personnel.
I
So she'll-
understand that, but
So
the thing is,
she,
she asked people to get lined up, and she got people lined up, but then they have to go
Nope.
through her
Nope.
certification to make
Nope,
sure that.
I asked for Berta to serve on it. I didn't ask for people to sign up. I asked for Berta to serve on it.
Okay. But people are asking for an independent audit, and if you're assigning them by yourself, your people, then it's not an independent audit.
Brett, what's your thoughts?
I don't know. Best answer I can give you right now, I don't know.
Okay. Can you give us an answer later? Okay, thank you.
Okay. That's all I have.
That's all I got. I'll make a motion.
entertain
we
a
adjourn.
motion for adjournment.
I move we adjourn.
Have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Meeting's adjourned.